Most men don't fall into depression because life became unbearable. They fall because they stop moving. Stoics understood something psychology is only now rediscovering. Depression doesn't start in the mind. It begins in the body's refusal to act. When motion dies, momentum dies. When momentum dies, purpose dies. When purpose dies, the man feels like he disappears. This isn't weakness, it's biology. A warrior without a battlefield turns his blade inward. A disciplined man without mission becomes destructive to himself. So today, we break down why discipline is the cure, not because it ignores pain, but because it gives pain direction. Before we begin, drop this in the comments: motion over emotion. And if you believe men deserve spaces like this, where truth isn't sugar-coated and masculinity isn't pathologized, hit subscribe. Because we talk about Stoic psychology, identity, purpose, and the inner lives of men nobody teaches us to understand. Let's begin. Part 1. Habit number 1. Emotional momentum. Depression thrives on stillness. The longer you sit, the heavier your life becomes. The first rule of Stoic healing: you do not wait to feel better to act. You act to feel better. This is emotional momentum. You make your bed. 1% momentum. You wash a dish. 2%. You walk 5 minutes. 5%. The actions are small, but they tell your nervous system, we are not dead. We are not defeated. We are moving. Depression wants you immobile. Discipline forces motion. Motion creates momentum. Momentum creates energy. You don't fix your life by thinking. You fix it by stacking wins until belief returns. So here's a challenge. Before this video ends, pick one thing you will do today. One push-up, one chore, one walk. Because discipline is not motivation. It is micro-proof that you can influence your own life. Right now, share this video with a man who's been stuck, someone who might need to hear that the cure isn't perfection, it's movement. Most men don't realize this. You don't break because life becomes unbearable. You break because you stopped accumulating proof that you can affect your world. When a man's days look identical, wake up, scroll, exist, fade, his nervous system stops believing he matters. But every tiny disciplined act is an argument against despair. Sweeping a floor says, I influence my space. Cooking your own meal says, I provide. Reading 2 pages says, I grow. Taking a walk says, I still move. These are not chores. They are identity signals. Stoics didn't wait for inner clarity. They acted themselves into strength. Depression tells you, do nothing until you feel better. Discipline replies, do something, and you'll eventually feel better. Even faith is built through repetition. You believe because you kept acting in the direction of hope. The problem is, men romanticize the big turnaround. They wait for the miracle moment, the big breakthrough, the emotional awakening. But real healing isn't cinematic. It's incremental, brick by brick, decision by decision, win by win. And when you stack enough tiny victories, your biology begins rewriting your psychology. That is why I tell men, motion before emotion. Momentum is medicine. Part 2. Mornings and movement. Ground yourself before the world claims you. Humans were never meant to wake up and immediately ingest comparison, chaos, and dopamine overload. The modern man rolls over, checks his phone, scrolls, doom consumes, and by 8:15 a.m., he's already spiritually defeated. You cannot build momentum when your nervous system starts the day in submission. This is why ancient warriors, monks, philosophers all rose early. Because before the world tells you who you are, you must tell yourself. The Stoic equation stands: movement plus morning equals grounding. When a man moves his body before his feelings awaken, his physiology outruns his pessimism. This is not motivation. It's neurochemistry. Movement at the beginning of the day increases dopamine, increases prefrontal activity, lowers stress hormones, primes agency signals, identity. I take action, which means depression's first enemy isn't a therapist, it's a walk. 5 minutes, 10, sun on your face, blood moving, pulse rising, mind waking up. You don't need a marathon. You need a signal. Wake first, move first. Feel later. Your morning becomes a statement of existence. I am still here. I am not passive. I move my world. And that moment, that seemingly trivial act, is a direct strike at hopelessness, because hopelessness cannot survive motion. A battlefield commander doesn't sit in bed waiting to feel brave. He moves his army, then courage shows up later. You are no different. This is why I tell men, your mourning is either your medicine or your poisoning. Get in the habit of winning it physically. Push-ups, walking, stretching, cold face water, deep breathing, sunlight, sweat. These rituals are not fitness. They are frame-building, soul-steadying, depression-disrupting practices. And yes, if this is hitting truth, subscribe, because this channel is not motivation. This is a mirror and a manual for men rebuilding themselves. Comment this below. I will win the morning. One sentence, no speech, just commitment. Because part 3 is where we break down why working before feeling is one of the fastest ways out of depressive loops. Drop your commitment and keep watching. Part 3. Work before emotion. Depression convinces you your feelings are the authority, that emotion is the gatekeeper of action. When I feel better, I'll start. When I'm motivated, I'll move. But the Stoics diagnosed this as enslavement to impulses. They believed, a man who waits for the right feeling will never act. Let me give you a metaphor. Your emotions are like weather. They will change, but they cannot be scheduled. If you build your discipline around weather, you live in constant internal storms. So Stoicism flipped the sequence. Action, momentum, emotion. Work before you feel like it because the mind honors what the body obeys. Think of depression as quicksand. The more still you are, the deeper you sink. Movement is the rope you grab. You don't need to leap out. You need to pull once. Here's what men get wrong. They believe they must think their way into action. But thinking is often corrupted by pain. I don't matter. This won't help. What's the point? I'll do it tomorrow. These are emotional lies masquerading as logic. The cure is not arguing with the lies. It is defying them with action. You feel powerless. Do something small, but controlled. You feel overwhelmed. Clean a surface. You feel invisible. Finish a task. Because every task completed is a vote for agency. Stoics weren't emotionless. They just refused to negotiate with their feelings. They understood mood follows movement, not the reverse. A man who masters this becomes dangerous to despair. Because once you learn you can act without permission from emotion, you become unmanipulatable by your own darkness. That is sovereignty. And sovereignty is the enemy of depression. Part 4. Purpose kills hopelessness. A secret truth. Most depression in men is not emotional sadness. It is purposelessness wearing sadness as disguise. You can have comfort, money, relationships, even love, and still fall apart if your life lacks mission. Humans, especially men, are wired to carry weight. When there is nothing to carry, the self collapses inward. Purpose isn't some mystical calling. It is responsibility. It can be a role, provider, protector, builder, creator, leader. It can be a project, body transformation, business construction, creative mastery. It can be identity work, becoming the man your past self needed. Purpose gives pain direction. Without mission, pain just circulates in your head and becomes torment. With mission, pain becomes fuel. Think of a soldier. He endures exhaustion, fear, discomfort. But because there is a mission, those experiences strengthen, not destroy him. Depressed men feel crushed because their pain has nothing to serve. It weighs but does not build. Once you give your suffering a direction, even a small one, fitness, skill mastery, rebuilding habits, showing up for family, evolving mind, suffering becomes transformational instead of suffocating. Stoics said, the man without direction is eaten by his feelings. So here's the prescription. Don't ask, what is my purpose? Ask, what responsibility am I avoiding that I can claim today? Purpose isn't found. It's constructed through discipline, demand, and duty. When you build mission, hopelessness loses its territory. Because there is now something worth living for, even if that something is simply becoming stronger than yesterday. Every time you move toward a purpose, you send your nervous system a message. We matter. That is how depression begins to die, not through epiphany, but through assignment. Comment this so it anchors in your mind. I move before I feel. I build before I break. Either one, pick the one that hits. Because in part 5, we'll go deeper into boundaries, identity, and attention. The psychological architecture of resilience. Stay locked in. Part 5, Attention is the battlefield. Extended deep dive. If depression is the enemy, attention is the terrain. What you focus on becomes what you feel. What you feel repeatedly becomes who you think you are. Most men don't realize this. They are not depressed. They are undisciplined with attention. Their mind is everywhere. The past, the future, other people's opinions, imagined failures, old conversations they can't change. Stoics trained attention the way warriors train weapons. They asked one question repeatedly. What is within my control right now? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not hypotheticals. Now. Depression pulls your attention inward and traps it there. You start watching yourself feel bad, analyzing it, narrating it, identifying with it. That's the danger. Because the moment you say, this is who I am, instead of, this is what I'm experiencing, you turn a state into an identity. Stoicism cuts that cord. It teaches, thoughts are events, not commands. Feelings are signals, not rulers. Attention is power, and discipline is choosing where that power goes. When you redirect attention outward, to a task, to service, to the body, to responsibility, the mind follows, not instantly, not magically, but reliably. This is why men who lift, build, fix, train, and create often recover faster than men who only reflect. Reflection without direction becomes rumination. Attention without structure becomes anxiety. So the practice is simple but brutal. When the mind spirals, move the body. When thoughts race, narrow focus. When emotion overwhelms, complete a task. You don't suppress the mind, you assign it. That's discipline, and discipline turns attention from a liability into a weapon. Here's the truth most men never hear. Depression is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that your strength has nowhere to go. Discipline gives it direction. Not overnight, not dramatically, but daily. Through movement, through work, through purpose, through attention. You don't escape depression by becoming someone else. You escape it by returning to command of yourself. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about being unowned by emotion. It's about saying, I feel this, but I am not this. I experience pain, but I am not broken. I am responsible. Therefore, I am powerful. You don't need to fix your whole life. You need to move today, work today, carry something today, focus today, and then do it again tomorrow. That's how men rebuild. That's how despair loses ground. That's how identity solidifies, not through hope alone, but through discipline lived daily. Stand up, move forward, carry your weight. This is Black Stoic. If you found value in this video, share with one person that needs it.